how food additives can affect your health very negatively, a lot more than you think. Let's take one example with Dr. Sunil Dan from England, talking briefly about this issue.
Well, it is aspartame. Aspartame is a low-calorie artificial sweetener found in many diet drinks and foods. I've made a video before on artificial sweeteners. While the sweetener remains popular, several studies have linked it to health issues. Last month, the World Health Organization, although I don't believe the WHO is very credible on this, I believe they may be right, they said the evidence is not conclusive. It was concerned that long-term use of sweeteners like aspartame may increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart diseases, and mortality. The Food Standard Agency told Panorama it will look into WHO's ongoing assessment of aspartame. Is the government taking this seriously? Well, the government said it is aware of the growing concerns around ultra-processed food and has ordered a review into the evidence on ultra-processed foods. Well, at least they've done that. I can't imagine that happening in the United States. Where is aspartame found? What to look for on the ingredients list. Aspartame, food and drink containing aspartame include cereals, frozen desserts, sugar-free chewing gum, diet fizzy pop, and instant coffees. Well, as I said, I'm glad that attention is being given to this very important topic, starting with tabloid news stories, because our other top agencies, medical establishment, etc., don't want to really talk about this. But it is ever so crucial, because so many people are now consuming this food. Now, I spend a lot of time coaching people on what they are eating and what specific food additives may be causing their ailments, etc. And we basically are what we eat. And when it comes to ultra-processed foods, I believe these foods are absolutely terrible. And we've named a couple of the potential toxins there. There are many more. I've talked a lot before about sugars, so many hidden names for sugars that food corporations use, processed seed oils, other additives. But all of this food was not around 100 years ago, and that's one of the best pieces of advice I give. If it wasn't around 100 years ago, don't eat it. Our bodies are not built for it. It will send our bodies into metabolic disarray eventually. And of course, we have to remember that this dire situation suits certain members of the establishment very well indeed. As people consume this junk food, vast profits are being generated. The population gets sicker and more dependent, and then their buddies in Big Pharma end up making a ton of money as well. It's a merry-go-round for certain members of the establishment as people get sicker and sicker. And considering how bad these foods are, look at this story which very recently appeared in the BBC. Could ultra-processed foods be harmful for us? What an utterly dumb question. Is the Pope Catholic? I mean, come on, BBC. The evidence is overwhelming. And let me be very clear on this, and I would bet my entire career on this. Ultra-processed foods are the biggest mass casualty event in human history. Let me repeat, they are the biggest mass casualty event in human history. When you consider the hundreds of millions of people who are getting diseases, that are getting sick, who are dying early because of ultra-processed foods, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. This, in my opinion, is a slow mass murder.
Yes.
So do everything you can to stay away from these food items. I'm not saying you can never have them, but be very careful indeed. Too many people are consuming these unnatural substances every single day, and it is an absolute tragedy. But are these the very first signs that there is slowly more awareness of this issue? Just like tobacco in the 1950s, I actually believe that ultra-processed foods are a bigger issue than big tobacco was. Yes, I really said that when you look
Amen.
at the consumption of ultra-processed foods and what has happened. So do everything possible to stay away from these foods, packed with artificial ingredients that our bodies were simply not designed for, and do everything possible to keep your family away from them as well. In fact, I kid you not, many people make the switch from ultra-processed foods to eating real foods, and within weeks they notice a dramatic improvement in their physical and mental health.
I agree.
Do not underestimate what a difference it will make if you make this change in your life. Thanks.